All right. I'm running behind the power curve here. Sorry, technical difficulties getting this thing started. How's everybody doing this morning? So I'm just going to get right into it. So there was a speech yesterday, I reckon. Um, and everybody got all excited about it or not, depending on how they wanted to view it. But I was going to look into that a little bit and see how many lies were told. But I hope everybody's doing good for your hump day. Let's see who we got out there. C is with us. Good morning. LS. Good morning, LS. How are you? Wes S. On down. What's going on? You guys were chatting it up before even had a chance to get this thing started. Leland's in surgery, Wes. Chipper 66. Good morning. On down. Coffee. Yeah. Yeah, I'll blame the coffee maker, Irish. That's a good idea. I blame myself, I guess. Watching Wes, don't ever accuse me of watching CNN. Delaware Patriots here. Good morning. Brain fog. That's a good answer. Delaware didn't watch with the only thing missing from the Dims clan uniforms with the hood. Yeah, I saw that. Oh goodness, you guys are always down the wrong path. Path to the dark side. Dad on YouTube's with us. Good morning. Mule Team is with us. All right, we'll get this thing rolling. You guys are hitting it hard and hitting the ground running this morning. Midwest Prepper, surrounded by a lot of hurt and bitterness. Oh man. Mule Team has arrived. Yes, Mule Team has entered the building. Third option. Yes. It's good we were able to evade your detection capabilities this time around. All right. Hey, so yeah, there was a speech, and everybody. This was apparently a pretty popular comment. But isn't America already a socialist country? Isn't that just a distraction? I mean, somebody want to pull up the Communist Manifesto real quick and read the planks of socialism and review that real quick to see exactly where we fall on that scale of degree. Is it just degrees of communism, right? Let's see. Do we have? Let's take a look real quick. So we'll tear apart the lies of the State of the Union before you know it. It's just degrees, right? We're just in a level. Abolition of private property and land and application of all rents of land to public purpose. Well, in Nevada, 86% of the land is owned by the feds, so we don't have private property. But what is property tax? There's the eminent domain issue, which they're going to use to steal land from people to build this presumably build a wall. A heavily progressive or graduated income tax. At what point is graduated too heavy? Isn't a graduated tax at all a communist ideal? We're running at what, 35%? Is 0 to 25% make it any less graduated or heavily progressive? So we got that one checked in the box for sure. Abolition of rights of inheritance. We have inheritance taxes. While not an outright abolition, it is a step. Confiscation of the property of all immigrants and rebels. Well, that day's coming. We see what they do to ranchers when they step out of line. I guess you would call those rebels. So this is out of the laissez-faire-republic.com, breaking down the 10 planks of communism, where we already have made the steps necessary to continue down the path of communism, if not outright fully check the box on these things. Centralized credit in the hands of the state by means of a national bank with state capital and an exclusive monopoly. The Federal Reserve Act of 1913 fully cemented that. Check that box. Centralization of the means of communication and transportation in the hands of the state. The FCC supposedly controls all the airwaves. You have to get a license to broadcast on said airwaves through any type of radio signal device, or they would come track you down. Glenn told us a good story one time, Wild Iron Horseman, about how he got a hold of a ham unit and was just messing around with it. After a couple of weeks, somebody circled his address and said they'd tracked him down via triangulation, and he was going to get a fine if he kept it up. That was a while back. He told us that story. Extension of factors and instruments of production. Now, owning the means of production is not, we're not fully there yet, but when you look at subsidies of business, equal obligation of all to work, establishment of industrial armies, especially for agriculture. So here they break it down as we call this the Social Security Administration and the Department of Labor. Forcing women into the workplace, the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, assorted socialist humans, affirmative action, all these things work towards this goal. Combination of agriculture with manufacturing industries, gradual abolition of the distinction between town and country by more equitable distribution of the population over the country. It goes back to private property rights, but some people might call that Agenda 21. But it would be kind of in reverse, because everybody thinks the agenda is to get people off the land and be no distribution. So we might be avoiding that one for now. Free education for all children in government schools. Check that box. It's for the children. So the 10, we've got like what, 4 checked off. So we're 40% socialist. Can we call it that way? So while an eloquent statement, it would be farcical to think that we're not already knee deep into the problems caused by socialist ideals. It is what it is, folks. You can't sit there, and I think everybody laughed too about Pelosi clapping. Maybe she was clapping because she knew already it was baked in that we're already down that road. That's why she was smiling. She knew it was too late to stop the train. Let me get this ad out of the way.
Venezuelan people in their noble quest for freedom, and we condemn the brutality of the Maduro regime, whose socialist policies have turned that nation from being the wealthiest in South America into a state of abject poverty and despair. Here in the United States, we are alarmed by the new calls to adopt socialism in our country. America was founded on liberty and independence, and not coercion, domination, and control. We are born free and we will stay free. Tonight, we renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country.
I don't know. What's he going to do to roll back the tide? It's already started, would be my question. So just some thoughts there on that to start off with the Mad Minute that went down last night. Wait a second. Let's get out of here. Oh, really? I don't. Let me go back. Check in. Who else we got rolling in here? Angel R is with us. That's what I said, our Angel. You're late. I was late getting started. You're late to the show. I've already hit that. Welcome, sir. Gray Man Outdoors is with us. You think Nancy has dentures? Man, I thought dentures went out once we started doing proper dental care. But I guess they still exist. Midwest preppers switching sides and signing up for programs. You got to do what you got to do, right? Let's talk about prepping. Good morning. Hey, welcome. Tyler. It takes me a while sometimes to get people's names brought up. I just remember by channels. What's going on? Killdeer High Pocket is with us. Good morning. We are already a comic country, right, Mule? Right? Let's get this party started. We say never. Well, it's time to roll back the tide. Lest the masses fall for the madness they hear out of their TV box. Keeping the hive going. Yeah, you're all on point. Spread the word. The socialist statement, it's all a lie, distraction. Stock is down, is that right? Tommy boy, you think after that eloquent speech it would be bouncing upward? But alas, maybe not. But that was one of my reactions to one of his statements was, yeah, we're already there. We're at least 40% there. So is it 40% socialism still socialism? What were some other statements made in that whole deal? We know that we talked yesterday about the wall issue and the division of that. They could build the wall immediately, almost. But there is the issue of eminent domain. They can't just snatch people's land up that don't want to sell it. But using current policies and laws, they're going to condemn people's land, take it from them, and not give them any compensation for it. At least that's their agenda. And it just ain't right. See how this is out of the AP article. They're usually some of the most, they keep a little bit of the left-wing propaganda out while inserting some, of course. And he did talk about peace and not having endless wars. But yet, what has he done to end it? We still have yet to see a full withdrawal from Syria after a couple of months. The Afghanistan issue, all the other further entangling alliances and lengthy deployments and everything else going on out there. All these things were started by presidential decree. Just roll them back and end it. He's trying to tiptoe around it and do it in a way. I don't know, what kind of event can you have to bring peace and harmony with all the lies and deception that was done to start these wars? What can you do in counter to end them? What kind of lies and deception do you need to end the wars, I guess you'd say? Just have the news stop reporting on everything. You know, just like when we said we were pulling out of Syria, immediately there was a bombing attack on first one of that type that we had on an American patrol. All of a sudden, people died, and everybody gets all in uproar. Maybe we shouldn't leave. Maybe we shouldn't be leaving. Well, the counter to peace and prosperity is much more entrenched. The people that don't want those things are much more active and able to get their way, I guess. But it would be good to see a lot more action on that. While some, you could say, is anecdotal, some has been actually, occurring. The North Korean situation, you actually have, those things. And I've said this for a while. In the things that the president's actually supposed to do, foreign relations, war, things of foreign elements, he's done a pretty good job. But the domestic things in which the president has no power whatsoever, or neither should DC have any power, they continue to fail. But there's supposed to be another meeting about North Korea, which would be good. I mean, there's no reason. And really the question is, are we having talks with China? Because China controls that whole game with North Korea, that is. Keep our nose out of Venezuela would be nice. Let them fail or succeed on their own merit. We don't have to trade with them, by all means, but we shouldn't be getting our noses in it and picking winners and losers. So he said that we were still withdrawing from Syria and Afghanistan. Let's make it happen. But again, is it just a redeployment to fight the action on the southern border? Would be a big question. So that was some of that. What else is going on? Die Bullfrog. Good morning, Uncle Al. How you doing? Truth Freeze. Hey, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a minute. Well, at least I haven't seen you on a chat in a minute. I see you all over the Twitter and everywhere else in other chats and whatnot. Midwest says its advice I'd give is it's frog in a pot time. Buy a box of ammo, a paycheck before 2012 happens again. 2012. What happened in 2012? Oh, the prices were jacked up after certain events, right? Yeah, they're talking about that ammo bill. They want to tax ammo to the excess. Like, that got a lot of good reactions out there. Anybody didn't see some lady said she wanted to tax ammo at like a 90% clip. And that got a lot of good cold reactions, at least on the Twitter. I don't know where else it circulated, but it was. But you got a crew in there that wants to push stuff like that. And then what they do is they push the worst case scenario, and they meet you halfway and still get what they want. So they only get a 30% tax or whatever. It doesn't. They always push out the most extreme ideal. It's just like some of these Ocasio Cortex ideas out there that she puts out, and they get met halfway and they still get what they want. And that's the creeping ideals of socialism. That's how we got where we are. Yeah, we may not get a 80% graduated income tax, but we'll get a 50% graduated income tax. Incrementalism, being eaten one piece at a time, destroyed one piece at a time. And as it's been pointed out, a lot of these initiatives that were mentioned last night, the Republicans were in control of the Congress for the last 2 years and took no movement because they're a bunch of weak-kneed infiltrators as well. They are the destroyers of the Republic. Ultimately, it lies at the hands of Congress to do everything, and they have failed. And you can lay that squarely at the feet of Paul Ryan and lack of vision, leadership, or morals, or ethics, or principles, for sure. So that is what it is, I think. And check in. Who else we got? We got J Mac is in the house, like a snake eating itself, right, Barry? Irish is begging you to put on your gear, walk, run, train with it. Don't expect to throw it on the first time in an event. You never know what needs dummy corded and if your rig works. I hate dummy cording stuff to my equipment. I'm never a fan of that. Velcro works pretty well. So hopefully minimize the dummy cord, but definitely train and wear your stuff. Right? Next, taxes on air, gas, food, and kids, says Uncle Al, right? Yeah, they really want to get you with the kids thing. They don't want you to have kids at all. Make sure you don't procreate. Make sure you don't spread your ideals through the next generation. Only they can do that, right? If John McCain were here to save us. Well, his replacement's about the same thing, so it's not like you're going to get anything different out of Arizona, it looks like, which is shocking. Who knew Arizona would fall that fast? I guess it was already there, just waiting in the weeds to manifest itself. Yeah, Dad. I don't think they don't pay you. They just come and take them. From everything I've seen on when they repo the kids, they just take them. Wards of the state. You have no say. Let's see if I missed any comments up top. See what I missed out on here. LS says the abortion deal is a distraction, possible from all the anti-gun rhetoric. I don't understand how that's and getting more to the point of the title. How can a country where people can't even agree on what the value of life is stay as a union when you got some saying that life doesn't exist until they say it does, which is essentially any date and period in your life where they say you can be executed or not, whereas others would take the opposite stance that there is no right to take somebody's life without due process. And even then, it's questionable for a lot of people. Due process isn't even enough. Tax all the bad stuff, right, Truth? Subsidizing ammo. I don't know if that's the solution, Tyler, but you know, it's an idea. It's better than taxing ammo, that's for sure. If we could just eliminate all the three-letter agencies, imagine how much debt we could pay down and eliminate some of the needless waste, and maybe not go collapsing on ourselves, maybe. But did he address the debt at all yesterday? I don't think it was mentioned anything about the $22 trillion that's lingering out there, and the increased spending and increased deficits and budgets. That wasn't even mentioned, was it? That's concerning, because that's really the elephant in the room, is it not? That we have this large, overbearing money situation that the Federal Reserve has got us into, and there is no way out, that's for sure. But what are you going to do to the central bank to prevent its problems from bleeding over to everybody else? What do you do to prevent the central bank from collapsing America? Because they will let it collapse before they take a hit. I almost guarantee it. Unless somebody puts them in their place, like encircling the Federal Reserve and arresting everybody inside, something like that. Let's see, let's check in on that situation while we're here. Was Tommy Boy saying the stock started down this morning? So Trump's economic advisor, who's a socialist, says we're not going back to socialism. He even admits we were there, I guess. I mean, between the Great Society and the what was Roosevelt's plan, the New Deal, all those things were socialist economic plans. And have they really been repealed? A lot of those acts are still in place. So he admits we've been there, but have we really came out of it? Would be the question there. But yeah, the market's just middling, flat this morning, it looks like. Silver's inching down from where it was last week, fortunately. Maybe more buy opportunities, Tommy Boy. Stand by. If you haven't bought enough ammo yet, make sure you buy enough ammo first. So quick check in on that, but interesting statement. We're not going back. So admitting we have been there, but thinking somehow we got out of it. What else we got? NASA's a $52 million sinkhole, right? Dead weight loss. We get cool, gadgets though, Velcro, the microwave. Certain things come out of government projects, right? I don't know if it's $52 million a day worth it or not. It's not things the free market wouldn't do eventually, probably. Let them get a real job. Well, they can just go work for Elon Musk. He'll hire them up. That's his ultimate thing anyway. Elon's just worried about getting to space. LS says there's a large movement towards self-sufficiency and homeschooling, etc. It will crash, but there may be hope afterwards. Yeah, lots of people are removing themselves from the system, but I would say it's definitely not as fast as people are being added to the system. It's a very small percentage, but any is better than none. Irish says if you don't get a quarterly water report from your municipality, ask for one and then search the chemicals found in your water, and you want to filter, right? Yeah, they put that out too. You should actually, I think we're mandated. Municipal water sends out an annual test report. They don't send out quarterly, but still. It's good to know what's in your water for sure. No doubt. It's not just Velcro and Tang, Dad says. Okay, there might be a little bit more in there, Dad, like how to grow things in weightlessness, in a vacuum, all the other things that they work on. We know the flow rate of ketchup. Well, that was something I couldn't live without. Angel R says storm the opposition strongholds. I'm not going to Portland, Angel. I just can't find myself doing it, or the Bay Area for that matter. I'm not going over the pass. I'm not going over the Sierra Nevadas. I don't see myself doing it. Cookies 2050. Good morning. How you doing? Truth says we just have to find reasonable peoples in our network. Our only chance. What is? I think it's you got a typo here. Find reasonable people in our midst. Find reasonable people in our states and network. I'm not sure what you said. Midst. Okay, yeah, in our midst. After the day after the Almighty One's speech, we were kind of deconstructing that cookies. We're kind of looking at the lies told and the misdirection. Basically, starting off with the socialist rhetoric of we're already down the socialist train. How do you turn back the clock on things that are so far in place? Cookies, you're at negative 50 Celsius. Awesome. So that's about what, 20 degrees Fahrenheit? Negative Fahrenheit. That can't feel good. Oh, it's DC and the state capitals, Angel. I see. I would just settle for DC myself. I think once the state capitals felt the burn, that they would maybe make some correction. Maybe not. Probably not. So it would take that effort. Yeah, you're probably right about that, Angel. Especially considering the states don't do anything step out of line, which is another problem of our disunion. We don't have a union. We have a forced, what's the word for it? A forced corporate structure of a mandate to work within this network of political subdivisions. We don't have a union of states anymore. We haven't had since 1870. It was forced compliance. You will join the union or else. Subject yourself to the sword once again. That was the choice that was made at that time. Not much has changed. So there's that. Oh, there you go. Yeah, all the high heat plastics, all the composite materials, stuff like that. Multiple industries take for granted, didn't exist, right? Die Bullfrog says an easy way to stop DC and state capitals. I got to hear this easy way, Uncle Al, because the only thing I know of is withdrawing yourself from the system, unless you can convince a good, 90-80% of the people to rise up against them. Like Angel says, and storm the doors is about the only other option. Because middling about like this and we're being the ones suffering is not going to work out well. I'm waiting for Uncle Al's response here. Forced democracy. It's not the right of the individual. It's the collective, says Barry. All right, Delaware, have a good day. Take it easy. States HRM, good morning. HRM joined us. Did I miss your comments earlier, HRM? Practical Outdoorist, good morning. How are you? Cut off their lifelines, says Die Bullfrog. Well, if you cut off their lifelines, Uncle Al, then they're going to reveal who they are and just come and confiscate it, aren't they? Aren't they just going to come and take the food and water? Or is there another lifeline that you're speaking of, such as the banking system? How are we going to cut off the banking system from them? Money, food, and waste disposal. There it is. So how do you cut off the money from the politicians when they just send lackeys to come and seize it from you? Really, they could just take it out of your bank account electronically. They don't have to send anybody anymore. Food, they'll just come and take it. Go back to see the Communist Manifesto. They're fully entrenched in believing that they can come and seize your production from you. Wickard v. Filburn, see that Supreme Court decision. They've already signed that into practical application, I guess, to where they can self-justify it through their own courts have said so. But activist actions at the individual level to remove some of those things may have some effect. I don't know. I guess that would be large-scale riot protests, walkouts. Uncle Al, you suggesting people stop producing? The Atlas Shrugged effect would be a good one. That would limit those things that Uncle Al was talking about. Power, electricity, and gas. Should we see who the local, who your local electric guy is, and have him go shut off the power to the state houses? It would be amusing if nothing else. It would send a statement. It would be nice. But how many people in all those positions thinks that's the level we're at? It takes people in those positions to stop those, services to the state capitals in DC, to have they have to believe it's time to do that, though, too, Uncle Al, Unless you're suggesting I go do it, and I would probably electrocute myself trying to do something like that. Truth says land, food, tools, supply, skills are the real valuables. They are the real valuables, but the things they try to devalue on the daily almost, right? So Uncle Al got us on the route of trying to figure out how we're going to undermine this system in the state of disunion that we're in. But it is what it is. I think the job of the day is just go tell people how needlessly repetitive the State of the Union is. It's a propaganda show, not a useful event other than political showmanship, for lack of a better word. Ninth Circuit recently ruled law enforcement doesn't need a reason to put someone on a list. Aren't we all already on a list? Right? Hey, Walter Davis, good morning. What's up? Have you heard of welfare? Lots already stopped producing. Not a positive effect. Right? Well, the government hates competition. That's, again, where the robots come in, right? The automation of production instead of producing ourselves. What's too slow, Uncle Al? Uncle Al says too slow. Everyone is on the list, right? Cookies, yeah. We're all at some level on the list, right? On a list, at different levels. I guess you would call it a threat matrix. They would determine where we fall out, and it's just a matter of who gets selected next. I have no doubts about that, having experienced that. Oh, the world is a stage, right? Truth. Well, they try to make it like that. They try to make it like we have no control over our own lives. But like you said, Truth, or no, LS was saying, people are withdrawing themselves from the system and following their own path, homeschooling and other avenues to self-sustainment and whatnot. Just like Irish says there, food force, sustainable food along with your normal food plot, right? Truth says, what is a list? I wonder if you can look it up. I'm pretty sure you can. Let's see if I can find the way they document this in a online system. Okay, let's go check out this. Hey, Stefan, what's going on over there across the pond? Oh, that's a ridiculously long link. That's not going to work. Hope things are going well for you, Stefan. Have you participated in any of the yellow vest goings on? Here's a link for you guys. Go see how the list is developed. And this is what they're going to use it as, and it's just a classification. You don't have to be full blown. Let me share what I'm talking about. So here's where the list starts. This is the Wikipedia explanation, but I wouldn't. There's official sources for this too. You can look up the other keywords if you want to. I wouldn't. But there's your Wikipedia reference to kind of how you're going to end up on a list, whether you know it or not. Hey, J Mac said you may be right, but it was still fun to watch the Democrats squirm. Well, right, but that's how they get us. They get us in these emotional responses. You know, J Mac, it's like, yeah, it's all well and good because we know that the dyed-in-the-wool socialists, communists, are there sitting there smiling and grinning, which is more proof that we're in a socialist country because people are actually electing these people to places of decision making. But you also have to take any victory that you make or satisfaction you get in that and this is the time to step back and evaluate and go like, okay, it was all political showmanship and did very little to accomplish or is not going to move the ball forward in reversing those trends is what I'm saying, I guess. Are we going to end these foreign wars as much as he talked about peace and the other stuff? Are we fully going to get out of Afghanistan and those things? Things like that. But it's fun to, yeah, you're right. It's fun to watch people squirm or be uncomfortable. Bernie Sanders sat there and bite his lip all evening like the little kid he is, you know, whatnot, and have Nancy Pelosi mockingly clap at the end and stuff. But the head showman, you know, is not doing much better with his showmanship. So yeah, I put that link for this Wikipedia page there in the side chat. If anybody wants to check that out, how it starts and kind of it's got links in there and references on how that's been expanded, and there's probably much more parts to it, but that's at the big level, and it goes all the way down to your local law enforcement accessing this and being providers to it, providing information to get people on this for whatever reason. Don't think that the reasons are that limited. Don't believe it for a second. Just a thought if you hadn't thought about it or you didn't know there was a list. They fully acknowledge there is. They say that if you're a citizen, that your chances are very, it's regulated and that it's reviewed and there's all this process behind it. But really, that just means there's some bureaucrat that checks a box and boom, you're on it. Comfortable with becoming lawbreakers. We'll just accept unless you are a lawbreaker, whether you know it or not. They're still fighting against Macron in France, right? Yeah, it looked like there were some protests actually yesterday, unless the pictures I saw were from a later day or from this past weekend. Looks like there were still multiple protests or whatever going on. Oh, we haven't talked about Brexit in a while. It looks like there's some links on the Drudge about Brexit. We won't get into it. We're short on time here. Cookie says, before capitalism came, I had much more for a lot less. Where are you located, Cookies? But that's the way socialism sells itself, is small benefits for the individual, for the collective participation, and it lures you in. It's a trap, essentially. The socialist trap is the sweet bait of individual gain, and they lure you in, and then you're trapped into their collective, and then you can't escape. They did it with America, public schooling, all the free benefits, Social Security, all these things that manipulate the system. That really what happens, the biggest thing is you have this vast economic spectrum where effort in and your labor, it has a value of what you can produce, and then they shrink that, and really just over time the middle class gets smaller and smaller to where you just have ultra wealthy oligarchs, and everybody else is just a worker. They all get paid the same, and the ultimate end goal, everybody all gets paid the same except for the ultra controllers who are ultra. They may not even be rich, they just get all the benefits of being part of the system, like in China. But that's like the extreme end, and depending on which version of fascist communism you get into, depends on how that gets distributed. But it's a trap. It is better to work and produce than benefit off somebody else's labor or force somebody else to work for you, because ultimately that's what a lot of these decrees are. Your Affordable Care Act is forcing people to work for your benefit because you have to have insurance of some sort, and somebody has to care for your health care whether you pay them or not. That's indentured servitude at a minimum. Power back to the people, says Stefan. Back to controlling, I mean the a just weights and measures system would be a good way to get back to that. Killdeer brings up a good point. Only list you want to be on is the Book of Life. That's the ultimate list. Good point. Amen to that. Unfortunately, man-made list exists. HRM says it was a great speech. Typical nationalistic continuity. Right? Yeah, it's a good speech. Yeah, it gets people all patriotic and stuff, right? All right. All the companies making coin from the Chinese, right? Cookies. It's kind of a big show. A lot of the posturing potentially could be a big show with China and Russia, or is it really going to come to a head? Is China willing to? The big question right now is Venezuela. Are people willing to go to World War III over Venezuela? Because that's kind of the point right now in that competition between the two sides, I guess you would say. All right, folks, thanks for checking in. We're going to leave it at that. Appreciate everybody checking in. Had a little delay here on the technical side on our end today, but we got it done, I think. But I think the biggest thing is just remind your folks, hey, we're 40% socialist, if nothing else. Read those key platform parts of the Communist Manifesto and continue to fight against them. Don't accept our 40% socialism as that we are not going into socialism. Don't accept that type of propaganda, I guess, or that type of rhetoric to go unchecked or unchallenged when you have a graduated income tax already, you have public schools dominating the education system, all these things that are a part of this that we have to deal with on the daily. So just throwing that out there so that people know it's not like we're not if the president says that and believes it's true, then it's time to throw down, right? But people aren't ready for that. So we'll just leave it at that, I guess. But I do appreciate everybody checking in here. Good discussion. Remember to go out, have a good day, live free.